Well, it's another beautiful day at the Minnesota State Fair with a great Minnesotan here who now has a leftist for Washington, D.C. This is Ken Martin, leader of the DNC. He was the chair of the DFL. How you been doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad to be back here in Minnesota. I miss this state so much. I wish everyone knew how great the Minnesota State Fair is. We're here at the fair today with Jordan and others. It's just awesome to be back.
So you've been shaking up some things around the DFL, or the DNC now. I can't even say it's DFL. You've been shaking up some things around the DNC, and how's that been going for you? You're ruffling a few feathers?
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't come here to keep things the same, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? National Party was broken. We've got to fix it. We've got to get it back on track. We've got to get it back to organizing the right way. I ran for this position to get the DNC out of D.C., to actually focus on building back throughout this country in places like Pine City, where you're from. We've got to do a better job in rural America. We've got to connect people again back to our roots. We've got to work for working families. I'm the first card-carrying union member to be a DNC
Which just
chair.
blows my mind that the Democratic Party has not had a union member.
It's crazy,
before.
isn't it? But the point is we got to get back to focusing on a message that connects with people, whether they're in Pine City, whether they're in Minneapolis, whether they're in Albert Lee, and any city in between, right? I always say, what's the thing that connects a corn farmer in southern Minnesota with a miner up on the Iron Range, with a new refugee in the Twin Cities? It's economics, right?
Yep.
It's getting back to fighting for a populist economic agenda that gives people a sense that we're fighting for them and their families.
Absolutely. So now some of the struggles you've been having since you got to the DNC involve fundraising. Like, I mean, you were a banner fundraiser here at the DFL, and it kind of seems like we're tripping up. What's been going on there?
Well, look, we've raised a record amount of money since I've been chair. Some of these stories are just completely off. Yes, the Republicans in power have a lot more money than we do. Surprise, surprise. All the billionaires are supporting Donald Trump, right? They bought the federal government. They're getting exactly what they want, and they're paying them off, right? But we've raised $70 million in the six and a half months that I've been on, which is a record. And you know what's fueling it, Jordan? Grassroots donations. $5, $10, $15, $20 a month contributions from people are fueling that $70 million that we've raised already, which is a record for any DNC chair. So look, don't believe the bullshit you see in the press, right? Because it's not accurate. Yes, the Republicans have more money, but do we have enough money to compete? You're damn right we do, because we're investing in the organizing, we're investing in on the ground, we're investing in ways to make sure that we're actually reaching voters.
I would consider myself a progressive, and some of the things that really frustrate us is money in politics. And can we expect to see renouncing of PACs and big corporate money from the DNC as an official stance coming up under your leadership?
I just brought a resolution that's going to be discussed this week in Minneapolis, actually, to ban dark money and PACs in our presidential nominating contest. I'm the first DNC chair to bring that. I think it's important. We need to end Citizens United. We need to get dark money out of our politics. I've been very clear about that, even when I was chair of the Minnesota DFL. We have to change the way that money has a role in politics. It has a corrosive impact, and both parties, frankly, and we have a responsibility to stand up and say we're going to reject that.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. And then, obviously, the optics of the Democratic Party have not been good over the past few years, especially for people who consider themselves progressive. There was the snafu with Debbie Washington Schultz and Bernie Sanders, and then one of the big hurdles that you first had to deal with was the whole David Hogg vice chair thing, which is bad optics. And can you just kind of tell us?
Well, let me tell you what happened on the David Hogg stuff, okay? So first off, in 2017, I came in as a national officer, right, leading all of our state parties. I brought two important reforms forward at that time in 2017 and 2018. One was to actually reform our superdelegate process and to make sure that the influence of our superdelegates was not as great as it used to be, right? And then the second was to bring a neutrality pledge forward, to make sure that party bosses didn't put their thumbs on the scale, to make sure that it was the voters who made the decision on who our nominee was, not a bunch of people in a back room making those decisions, right? And so you flash forward to 2025, I support what David's trying to do with primaries, right? It's important. Primaries actually keep accountability for our elected officials. They bring new ideas and perspectives into the conversation, and they bring new leaders, fresh new leaders, whether they're young, whether they're women, whether they're from communities of color. We need all of that, right? And so it's not about whether or not I support primaries. The challenge for us was that I also am trying to codify this neutrality pledge to keep party officers out of primaries, and we just cannot reconcile those two. So, I like David, he likes me. We don't really have a beef here as much as people think, right? the reality is that we have to have both. We have to have party officers stay out because we don't want to push out the supporters of folks like Bernie, right? In 2016, many of those people never came back to the party because they felt like party bosses were the ones making the decision. I want to keep party bosses completely out of this. Let the primary voters make that decision, and then our job is to fight like hell for whoever they nominate.
All right. Well, then, in that vein, there's also a lot of, prehistoric corporate Democrats like Nancy Pelosi in the party that really feel like they continue to hold back progressive movements. Is there a way that the party is going to start kind of addressing that old guard within that kind of stops us and in arguably many ways loses us elections?
Here's what I would say. Look, at the end of the day, we're a Big Ten party. We have conservative Democrats, we have centrists, we have progressives, and we have leftists. All are welcome in this party. We don't win by pushing anyone out. We win through addition, not subtraction. We win by growing our coalition, right? And I'm proud of all of our elected officials who run the gamut, right? I happen to be a labor progressive. As I started with Paul Wellstone many years ago, I represent the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party, as Wellstone used to say, right? But at the end of the day, it takes all of us. And so I don't want to push anyone out. I want to bring everyone in. The more voices and the more we grow this coalition, the better.
So how can people start getting involved to make the party what they want and be more involved in the party?
Well, get involved locally, right? I mean, you and I were talking about this, Jordan. I mean, we need folks up in Pine City, up in Pine County, actually getting involved in the DFL up there. We need people all over this country, all over the state, no matter where you live, no matter where you're from. Roll up your sleeves. Help us rebuild the party there, right? If you need to know how to connect with your local state party, let me know. My email is martink@dnc.org. martink@dnc.org. Send me an email and I will get you connected with your local party so you can roll up your sleeves and get involved. And if you don't like the party, change it, right? Paul said to me many years ago, and I was a young radical, and when I was 18 years old, I wanted to burn the DFL down, and he said, look, no institution changes solely from the outside, right? You got to get involved in it and change it, and that's what I've been doing for these last 35 years. So get involved in the DFL, get involved in the DNC, change the party, make it the party you want it to be.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ken, for taking time.
Thank you,
he's been working with creators here today to listen to us, and we listen to you. Obviously, you give us a platform, and he's giving us a platform to make that happen. So I really appreciate the work you've been doing, and we look forward to seeing you out there.
Thank you, brother.